Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Thank you all for being here. Um, Today, um, I want to talk a little bit about um, what is going on right now with the fires in Los Angeles and California. Um, First of all, I'm devastated. The scale of the destruction, the amount of people that are displaced, the amount of people that have lost everything that they own. And it's not just let's say, an investment in a home, a financial investment, but it's the memories. It's the things, the valuable, sentimental stuff that you cannot replace, the pictures, the, uh, birth certificate, the gifts, all of the things that are connected to very deep, deep personal memory of you and your family history that cannot be recreated or retrieved. Granted, the life loss is climbing up, but it's not a complete devastation. And I have to monitor carefully for myself as an empath how much of that news I'm exposing myself to, because I don't want to absorb the pain and the suffering of the world, of the people who are going through this, because it's very easy for me to do. And I have initially begun, once the first few 5 days of the fire started, I started empathing and connecting too deeply, causing all kind of internal, emotional, and core agitation for me. That has caused me to have nightmares and unravels and be off-centered. And I don't want to make this about me, but I want to make this fair enough as healers, as individuals who care for others. I want to talk a little bit about um, the role that we have to play of being a witness to things that are catastrophic. None of what's happening now, including this fire, were not predicted in the channeling that comes once a year from the Galactic Region Council, including the one we got on January 1st. They were in there. And I have to say to you that I have a few thoughts on how to intercede on the behalf of people who are facing these great challenges karmically, because again, karma is not punishment, it's not vindication, it's an opportunity to correct and to repair. So we need to understand it in that context, and the individuals who are actually facing this are facing loss, dramatic loss, and that loss will be followed by incredible grief. And it is that grief that's going to be a way for individual in Los Angeles or the affected areas to be an opportunity for them to learn something deeper about themselves and their attachments to their memories, to their sacred objects, to their home, to their entire community and environment. And it's not an easy thing. I'm saying words, but the emotion that you have to walk through when you're grieving, particularly the 5 stages of grief, okay? The denial, the anger, and of course the rage that it can bring with it, and before you get to the bargaining, and then finally the acceptance. So all of this is and remember, when you're grieving, and this is the part about grief that's very special, and this is something uh, uh, from the grief of the loss of my mother 2 years ago, and the grief of so many things that I've lost over the past 4 years. I have a little bit of thought on how to process this grief. The first thing is that when you're going through this process, giving the 5 stages, when somebody says to you, my condolences, or I'm sorry about your loss, I had politely said this to people, and I didn't realize how important the acknowledgement of your suffering is to help you feel better. Every time somebody said this to me, it made me feel better. So if you know somebody that's facing that kind of loss and that kind of grieving, you should be saying to them, I'm sorry about your loss. You should be telling them, I apologize for what you're going through. And is there anything else, anything that you need, or anything any way I can help you, I can support you through this? That offer is enough to make, because if your grief is not acknowledged, it makes it even worse. Grief is not a linear thing, meaning if you lost a home, it is, and you're feeling grief, the grief is not solely wrapped up in the home that you've lost. You will begin to grieve any losses that you've had in your entire life, including loss of family members, loss of friends. The best example is that if you ever broke up with a girlfriend or boyfriend, and you're grieving the mourning, the loss, etc., you start thinking of every other girlfriend or boyfriend that you ever had, and they all come cumulatively. It's not a linear thing that's connected to the current loss that you're dealing with. It's every loss that you have ever had, and therefore it feels overwhelming. And the second thing, the other thing to understand about grief is that grief does not, there is no limit on how long it's going to take you to grieve. It's not like within a year you're going to be at that stage. You know, you're going to be first the denial, then you're going to be at the anger and rage, and then you're going to be at you know, the negotiation, and then and then move on to the acceptance. It's not the way it works. What's going to most likely happen, you're going to be in denial, bargaining and trying to negotiate, and enraged at the same time. Within a day, you're moving to all of these emotions. This is why when you're grieving loss, it's a minefield. Now, the good thing about the folks that have my friends in California right now, that I know is true, is that the entire community is grieving together. This is why you have a funeral when you lose somebody. It's an opportunity for the community to help you close and create closure and allow you to move forward. So that's the good thing. The good thing is that the entire community, wherever the neighborhood that you live in, everybody is pulling in together, supporting each other. Those who have nothing, people are donating them, you know, clothes. They're helping them find a place to sleep. They're helping them with food or with water, that kind of thing. So if you're isolated, this is what I'm saying, is that when the grief is not acknowledged, it makes the person feel worse. I remember years ago, I had witnessed somebody was married, then divorced, and was going out with a younger girl, and but didn't want people to acknowledge that this relationship was going on. The man died, and a year later, 2 years later, this woman is on stage talking, and she's talking about this man, and she was pretending I'm just a secretary. But she broke out in tears and started wailing. And I knew that kind of crying, it was being rumored that they were going out together, but that kind of crying confirmed to me that this is a woman whose love and grief was not publicly acknowledged. So there are certain things that we need to understand about grief, that if you have friends and individuals that you know that are grieving like this, you need to acknowledge for them and acknowledge to them the fact that you're sorry for their loss, and offer your support and your help in whatever way, whether it's through prayer, whether it is through some other act or some other ways to demonstrate to them that a gesture of support. So I'm offering this as an understanding of my own grieving process with my mother, and the other losses that I had experienced, and because many people, particularly around the time of the pandemic and all that, there were other losses. There are other individual, family, friends that were lost as well, that that kind of opened up like an accordion, and that I was dealing with all of that loss all simultaneously. So I want to, because during the process of grieving, these memories and these neuron net connection, and the fact that this object or this external thing that you own, or that individual that you had in your life is no longer there, that grief and that sense of loss is very palpably there, and you need to process and move through it, particularly when 3 or 4 of these stages, you're experiencing them in one day. You're going from bargaining, it can't be real. It must be a dream. Can't be real. I cannot believe in blah, blah, blah. And the next thing you're furious, you're enraged, and the next thing you know, you're moving to all these phases too quickly. And you think at that moment, I must be crazy. And then the next thing you know, you're in acceptance, and then tomorrow you go back to the rage again, and you go back again to the bargaining. You need to give yourself grace and understand there is no set clock that says in 3 years all of this will be behind you and you will not think about it again. That's not the way it works. It will take as long as it needs to take for the process to play out. The other part as well to understand, it's the part that I mentioned a little bit earlier, which is it's karma, which means that it is an opportunity as you sit in the grief. In other words, when you're feeling the grief and the loss, and you're starting to think about all the other losses that you had, or the specific loss and the emotions and the feelings connected to it, go deep in the feeling. Don't deny it. Don't try to push it back. Go deep in the feeling and listen to it. And listen to the feelings and the emotion is trying to tell you. You may want to have a friend in standby that as a lifeline to help you if the emotion is too much. And the reason the emotion is too much is that you're emotionally running through sometimes 3 to 4 different stages of grief at the same time in one afternoon or one evening. So it's to have an individual that you can call, and they can basically walk you back down to earth to help you realize that it's an emotion you're experiencing that you didn't have the day before the loss happened, and that at some point in the future you're going to be okay with that after you process the loss. You're going to get to acceptance, and you're going to accept the fact that there are certain things in life that we cannot control. And this was an act of God. And again, connected to the karma and the correction, not only of you as an individual, but the karma and the correction connected to a community, to a country, to humanity. Because it's not just about you as a person living on the West Coast, living in Los Angeles, but it's also a connection to us as human beings and the climate change and all culpability in climate change and what we did unknowingly to exacerbate and make this the condition in which we are existing in right now and that we're living as an inheritance for our children. So it's trying to have enough empathy to understand that there is a gigantic correction. Before that, we had the hurricane that went through all the way to North Carolina, and where the town of Asheville was completely inundated, or the tornadoes last year that tore through Mississippi and ripped entire communities and towns. There's so many other climate change events that are all over the world. Flooding, drought, that have completely devastated, mudslide. Right now, there's a potential fault line that's opening between two volcanoes in Ethiopia as well. And they have to evacuate all these people because the earth started splitting. There's a line in the earth between these two volcanoes, and it goes for miles and miles. And they're expecting lava to start oozing out from there, to erupt, to start oozing, not just out of the top of the volcano, but through the whole fault line. We have all of these events, all of these things that are gigantic acts of God. And what is the greater lesson for all of us? That we are not in control. In whatever circumstances that are going on, whatever discomfort that I am experiencing, because as a teacher, as an empath, everybody's asking me to pray for this person, that person. And although I do my torsion field and I go into neutrality, but when I begin to focus on the energetically, where the suffering of this person or that person, their burden and their discomfort is, as I begin to try to take it into God, it's very easy for me because their pain is so big, their grief is so immense. It's very easy for me to stop being neutral, to stop being just a witness, and say to myself, and let in me the old blueprint of the martyr to step in, so that I inadvertently, in one instance, said to myself, not consciously, unconsciously, I said to myself, let me take this burden, let me lift this for you. And all of a sudden, everything started unraveling in me. I had to stop the healing. Everything started going crazy. And it took me another day to reconfigure myself and to figure out I am empathing. I'm absorbing it. And this is the reason why I don't want to watch any news related to this. I see major headline, like certain regions are burning, but I don't want to read articles or see full videos of people, reporters on the front line with the firemen. I don't want any of it. It's too much for me. I'm going to absorb all of it. And I'm because my energy is so big, and the domestication of this false belief that taking a bullet for the world is noble is gonna take over in me, and I'm gonna because it's so, I was so ingrained as a Christian to do this. It's gonna take over in me, and I'm gonna absorb it. So I have to, and today during my morning meditation, God said to me, Pierre, you have to be a witness to this. Take the burden of others and bring it to me. And all you need to be is a witness to this, no more than that. You don't need to absorb the pain and the suffering of the world. And I'm saying this because all of you are empath like me. All of you listening to me are caring, loving people who can easily absorb and take the burden yourself. It's not that I'm insensitive and cold, it's that I feel too much. And there is a line that I have to draw over my own boundaries, because if I go beyond that line, I'm going to take everything in. I'm going to lift the burden. I'm going to take the karma of someone else. I'm going to carry it. And I cannot take the karma of a correction that the whole of humanity is carrying. That will kill me. That will kill me for sure. I will not be able to take it. Because I'm nowhere near Master Jesus nor Kuan Yin. I cannot take that kind of burden. So I have to monitor myself carefully to make sure that I am not crossing this boundary. I'm very aware that this is happening. My friend are reporting, could you pray for this person? That person just lost that. And I'm happy to pray, but I have to do it as a witness. I have to remind myself, I am just a witness. And I'm taking the burden. I don't have to absorb it, because I feel sorry. I feel bad the moment I hear I lost everything. I just had the clothes on my back. I just had put my pet on my car and I was able to escape. Or I feel so bad that immediately there's a back door that opens and I'm absorbing all of it. There's a part of me that wants to make things better. Wave a magic wand, blow some fairy dust, make sure everything goes better for them. And the moment I do this, I go out of access and I'm in different territory. So I have to remind myself that I can't do this, and to find that line and toe that line that exists between empathy and just being non-attached. And allow whatever burden that I observe, to me just being a witness, to be taken, passed through me and being taken and offered at the throne room of God. And let God take care of what God needs to take care of. Any questions, any comments?
You said in your predictions that all these things would be coming, and yet if it is a karmic group karma concern, particularly now we're talking about the fires, is this does this relate in the prediction to the karma coming back to create a situation requiring us to give up control in advance of the transition that we're making to the new earth and to dimensional shift?
Yes, Jonas, indeed. It is a way for, it is a teaching module. It's a catastrophic, extreme teaching module to allow humanity to realize different things in a different way. I remember there's a line in the channeling where he repeated what we already knew: there are no safe places, only safe people. Mm-hmm. So whether you're in California or Asheville was it still is, but at the time before the hurricane devastated it, flooded it completely. And they're so deep in land. That's the thing. You see, then in the mountains, they're so deep in land. No one in a million years would have thought that there would be flooding there. It's a community that's like Sedona. There are healers. There are all kinds of retreat centers. This is the kind of community it was.
One wouldn't think of that community as having a karma worthy of destruction if they're on that kind of a path.
Okay, it's not okay, it's not that the community is as a karma worthy of destruction. It's a wrong way to see it. It is an opportunity for people of that community and beyond to realize there are no safe places. That what needs to happen is that you have to allow your consciousness to become safe by surrendering and connecting to God. That's the only way to find safety. With all the changes that's gonna happen.
Surrendering that control.
Yes, give the control over to God.
There are people that say this is not global warming. There have been fires, there have been hurricanes, and there have been earthquakes throughout time that have been severe. What what do you say to them? Is it the frequency or the severity or the
I I'm, I bless them. People who are in that, okay, they're on a different bus. You're not gonna convince them.
hmm,
I don't waste my time. I don't need to tell you if this is what you believe it. I bet you the people that are in Los Angeles and I said there was no global warming right now, they're thinking differently.
yes.
There is nothing like life to teach you a real lesson. When Al Gore years ago came with that movie, An Inconvenient Truth, he was right about everything that he said because it's happening right now. And he thought he was an alarmist and he was a fearmonger. Everyone thought he was crazy. For those of us who were, younger at the time and watched that stuff, this is years ago, before he even ran for president, or is it after? I don't remember. But anyway, so yes, so be that as it may, the karma is not there to punish as a correction because you're not doing it right. That's not why the karma is there. The karma is there to try to open you up in whatever, in an extreme way, because in all the other ways that God tried to teach you that lesson before, you didn't learn it. Meaning the earth, the humanity, you didn't learn it. So now it's coming in an extreme way to try to shake you and wake you up and make you realize there are no places that you can go, no holes that you can burrow yourself into, no vacuum you can put yourself into. The only way you can find safety is to connect to God, to your higher power. That's how you're going to be safe.
As you had said, um, not taking on the burden, but being a witness, it reminded me of the airlines, and Cylidia would certainly have experience with this in her work as an airline stewardess. But there were the every flight starts off with if the oxygen masks should drop, put on your mask first before attending to any minors or others around you who might need help, because you cannot help them uh, if you do their if you take care of their need first, you may not be able to help yourself afterward, but you can help them if you first help yourself. Isn't that sort of the train of
Yes,
thought? You cannot be a help to them in the ways that you can connect energetically and spiritually to the collective, to the global community, to try to input the prayers and the correction from your heart if you are caught up in it.
absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what we have to realize is that I feel terrible, okay? Because if you know Los Angeles and these places and how beautiful they were when you're watching the short little video clips that I started watching of aerial shots, it's scary. It looks like the Gaza Strip, devastated. And for miles, it's just very scary. And I cannot even imagine if your house is still standing in the midst of this and you step out of your door And that's what you're seeing as your neighborhood. Whereas 2 days or a week ago, none of that existed. It must be like an emotional shock. So again, it's a different kind of correction. We need to understand that God is asking us to trust in Him and know that the safety that we're seeking cannot come from the outside. And again, it's not a location, it's not a place, it's the people who are anointed by Him, by you trusting in Him and having an intimate and personal relationship. That's the way you find the safety. And that's the way, through that safety, through that connection, you can then take other people's emotional burden and move them into it. It has nothing to do with the physical world and the physical stuff we're experiencing. Yes, the loss is real, the grieving and all that it's absolutely real. But what is happening is greater. There is a huge shift in consciousness. There's a huge shift in reality that's about to take place. And we're leaving that physical reality to go and transit into something else. Thus, at the very foundation, all 3D reality is cracking. It's being fractured. And and for us to remain safe and find safe passage during that transit, we have to be careful that the fissures and the opening and the gap that are being created by this fracturing process, we don't fall into them.
And one of those fissures might be, um, why did I survive and they did not?
Absolutely.
Take on some kind of burden of punishment, of self-punishment, because you're still living or you still have your house or
Yep.
your wellness, whatever the problem of others was that did not make it through, and you did. So there's a
Yep. Survivor's guilt.
yes, yes.
The psychological survivor's guilt. Absolutely. This is still part of the grieving and all that. And what the answer to that is that the person who lost, it was their own personal karma with God. It has nothing to do with you. If you are you have a personal connection and you survive whatever event and you are still alive, it's because, first of all, it's not really God doing it because God is not involved in karma. Honestly, the karmic board administers it to make it fair. The karma is natural law of equal exchange. It's not, God does not participate in karma. God can help protect us to make sure that we that our negative karma is burned faster. And the way we do this is through the process I've been taking your emotional intelligence, the query, social intelligence, the spiritual practice. This is the way you accelerate your karma. You move through them so that you elevate, so that you connect, and therefore then the appearance of negative consequences does not touch you. The other thing as well is that the mala and the recitement of the mantra I've been teaching you, the gate gate paragate parasamgate bodhisoha. Gate gate paragate parasamgate bodhisoha. Gate, and you said this 108 times with your mala bead every morning, at least once a day. If you can say it more times a day, it's even better. If you can say this, it would actually also help you burn negative karma. It will help connect you to the spiritual world closer and closer, and the negative stuff that may be moving toward you is gonna, you become now anointed because what you're saying is gone over, fully gone over, meaning all the things of the physical world, they're gone over. They're fully gone over. I'm letting go. I'm become non-attached to everything. And then it says Bodhisoha at the end. It means awake, and it is done. I'm enlightened because now I am in the God realm, and it is done. So as you're saying this, you're saying, I'm becoming non-attached to everything. I am not of this world anymore. I am embracing spiritual world. So the negative karma included. I'm releasing all of it. So repeating that mantra multiple times throughout the day becomes key to accelerating because karma works both ways. It's not just negative karma, it's also karma. Also, there's such a thing as positive karma. There are certain people in the world that seems to be blessed. Everything that they touch turning to go. They seem to, it's what is that old saying? Jump and the net will appear. They seem to exist in that realm. It's because they have accumulated the positive karma. So karma works both ways. It's not just punishment. It's also joy, happiness, abundance, good luck, long life. So with that mantra, you begin to connect yourself to the higher realm. And the more connected you are to the higher realm, that's where real safety will be found. So to the people who are going through grieving right now, repeating that mantra would help them a lot. It will help them process the grief. In addition to all the things we just spoke about, having a support system, having somebody that they can talk to, having a and understand. Here is the thing: when you're grieving initially, I know this should be true for me. When you don't understand the grieving process and the fact that you're not feeling just one thing because it seems so big and so immense, you feel overwhelmed emotionally, like you're being crushed to the point. I know how I felt when I was grieving. I can't swallow. I cannot eat food. I cannot swallow anything. It's like there's a blockage. Everything inside of me is so tight because I feel overwhelmed, like something is sitting on top of my chest. And when I begin to go into it and analyze it, I begin to realize what it was. I was bargaining, I was enraged, okay? And I was also trying to accept it at the same time. And I would go from one emotion, and then the next thing you would flip into another emotion. The next emotion flipped into another one, and it would go and to the point of emotionally making me feel like I was crazy. I was mad because I was moving through all these feelings too quickly. So give yourself grace, because the moment I realized what was happening, I'm like, you need to chillax, Pierre. You need to give yourself grace and understand that this is part of the normal process of grieving. And however, how long it will take, it will take. And so, however that shows up for you, however, how long it takes, again, understanding karma from the right context, and again, there are multiple levels of karma. There's your personal karma with your home, with your environment, with the people that are in your life. And then if you're empathing, if you're through your family and your codependency with your family, you're holding the karma of your friends and your family members, you will share their burden too. And to the degree that you're empathing and codependent with your nation, you will share the karma too. To the degree that you're empathing and you're codependent with all of humanity, you're going to share the karma as well. So this is the reason why you're saying gate paragate parasangade bodhisattva. Gone over, fully gone over. You're releasing all of the karma, everything. You're releasing all of it. And then a body is enlightenment, awake. And then it is done. And you're repeating this over and over again to give you the grace to let go of all, to become non-attached. And allow the control to be taken over to God. Any questions, any comments? Now, having said this, I'm still praying for my friends. I'm still praying for peace. I'm still praying for California. Okay? It's not that I'm not praying and I don't want to hear from them. I'm throw the baby out with the bathwater, put a roll down gate and close everything. I don't want to see it. That's not what I'm saying. You're going to exist in a thin line between empathy and surrender. And so I'm witnessing and I'm hearing my friends who are in need. I'm supporting them, and I'm my strength is in prayer. It's my gift. I know how to intercede by taking people's burden and bringing them to God. But the way I got caught is my codependency with my friends and my family. I'm empathic. Or my codependency with my nation, with humanity. I just went through the whole thing. This is what was causing me to feel like I was no longer in my core, I was no longer in neutrality. And I wasn't temporarily. So I'm still understanding them. I've lost this. I don't have power. I don't, my home is lost. All of these things. I'm hearing them, and I feel bad, but God is asking me to be a witness. I repeat the mantra so that I can have the detachment. I do the torsion field, and at every time a new guardian comes in, there's a torsion field that first gets created from the core of the earth, counter-rotating, moving through my core, passing through me, exiting outside of my head, and creating all around me the filaments to create a torsion field of light and neutrality. And once it's created, I breathe, then I then repeat and decree to the world, be gone time and space. Again, gate, gone. Be gone time and space. Be gone all of the illusions that are connected to that, whatever it is that I'm unattached to. Then the axis above my head extends, and it attracts now the energy of the second guardian cascading down from solstice time clockwise, rotating, passing through the top of my head, going through my core, dropping into the core of the earth and creating all around me from the bottom of the earth. Filaments rise up to the top, creating all around me a nested another torsion field on top of the first one, rotating in the opposite direction. And I wait for it to be completely operational and I can witness it. And then I repeat again, be gone time and space. I'm releasing all the illusion and all the attachments that are connected in that realm. Be gone time and space. And I repeat this in total. 12 guardian comes in, 12 higher dimension. Every time they're nested on top of each other and they're reversing direction every time. And by the time this is done, I've established in me a core of neutrality. And now I can intercede for others. I can think of this friend or that friend who's in burden. And instead of me thinking about them, oh my God, Hail Mary, full of grace, blah, blah, blah. And now I am, instead of me being a conduit to allow their burden to go into source and releasing it into source, like I'm throwing a rock in a pool of light and just throwing it, instead of me holding the rock in my hand and saying, God, may the power within me bathe them with light, and where it's coming directly from me. And this is where I begin to burn out, because if I'm doing it with the karma that's so big, I don't have enough light in me to change it. But God is infinity times infinity. God can change it. God can lessen the lending of this karma. God can ameliorate. God can transform. God can heal. God can transmute. Any questions, any comments?
I would just like to note the theme of your teachings in these last months really has focused on this release of control through the torsion field of neutrality, the begone time and space, the gate mantra, uh, release all attachments, fears, and control, surrender to the great emptiness and endless luminosity. Of all of your teachings that we have learned from over time, would it be fair to say this is the prime target now?
Absolutely. And it's only because of the grace of Melchizedek, who is trying to help us elevate into all Melchizedek identity, that all of this new information is coming in. And it's appropriate for the time. It's right on time. And it's kind of frightening. Not frightening, but it's kind of like I was talking to another friend of mine who was a seer. I wrote about this and sent an email about this. That when you're a seer and you see the future, you're burdened by what you're seeing. And my friend who sees was somebody I trust. I mean, their vision is always on point. And I'm always we were talking about this, and he was telling me that he doesn't like the vision because he's always doubting himself, because he wants the vision to be a direct replica. Everything he sees in the vision must happen on earth at the time and at the moment he says it, the calendar, the month, precisely. And I was trying to help him understand, because I over the years, we've been friends for a long time, I've been reminding him, because he had a vision on, this is around the time when Biden was going to be inaugurated. This is over 4 years ago. And he had a dream, and in a dream, a voice said to him, in the 7th day of the 7th month, this president, the president, will cease to be. Something's going to happen to them to cause them to not be on the planet anymore. And he woke up and he thought, okay, let's see what happened. So we forgot about it. And I had forgotten about it. And then on July, that same year, on July, so it will be 2000, on July 8th, there was news that broke out that the president of Haiti was assassinated and shot. His wife survived, but he was shot. And I didn't remember it until much later. I remembered what he had said. Actually, I didn't remember. Marjorie reminded me. Didn't he said on the 7th day of the 7th month, it wasn't for here? And I was reminding him of this in the conversation we're having. I said, it's not that the prediction did not happen. It's where it landed that was different than what you saw in the original vision. And this is the way perception of the future happen. It is because the future, you have 6, 7 months in front of you. The future is still being decided. Where it lands is not always exactly the way you see it. So there is a lot of wiggle room. It's not that the prediction happened on the 7th day or the 7th month. A president was actually taken down, but it wasn't where he thought it was going to be, and therefore he thinks, this is bollock. I'm like, no, this is not the way it works. Having heard and listened and dreamed and seen in meditation many of these things, there was the future timeline where it lands can change. How it lands can change depending on what humanity or the people affected are doing. If the karma is learned and the lesson is learned, it doesn't need to learn at all. Because karma is not revenge, it's not retaliation, it's repair. Once the repair is done and the correction is made, the karma, whatever negative aspect of the karma is gone. It's finished. It's removed. Like that, it's gone. And I'm saying this to you because this is somebody who refused to publish openly anything, any vision, any perception. He shares some things with me. I will keep them private for now because he doesn't want them to be publicized. But there was a lot of information, and there's a reason for this. Because when you publish something like this, and there's let's say, for example, it doesn't land exactly the way you thought it was going to land. It lands somewhere else. Or it happened, let's say you predict there's going to be a volcano in such and such place, and the volcano happened, in another country or another, but at the exact same time. People will begin to think that you're cuckoo, you're crazy, you're a fraud. So it's all that labeling and negative backlash, and people will start to attack you. That's what he doesn't want to happen, and this is why he's not publishing any of this. So the other part also, for the person who's seeing the future, having experienced this myself, and I shared this in the short thing I wrote, the first time this became major for me, it's that before 9/11, September 6th, I think it was, or the 5th, I don't remember which, it was the 5th actually. I woke up early morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, from a dream where I saw the two towers going down. I saw all the dust and the debris and everything else. And I didn't, and that day, by the way, I had to take a plane to move to go to Italy. So I woke up, and the dream was very, very strong. I wrote it down, but I was moving to finish my packing, to checking my passport, checking, do I have my money, the cash that I'm taking in with me? Do I have to change currency? There was a whole bunch of other things that were in my head. My ticket, where is my, and what clothes am I going to take? And so I was doing all of this, and I remember telling my friend Pat of the dream, and Pat said, it's a very important dream, Pierre. You have to do dream work with it. I said, you're right. For now, let me finish packing. I have a taxi coming to pick me up to take me to the airport. I need to run. I need to get this done. So I didn't think about the dream again. But when in September 11, I was coming 3 o'clock Rome time. I was coming from the hotel, from shopping back into the hotel lobby. There were people scurrying around. I went into my room. And when I got into my room, I opened it, I put my bags down, blah, blah, blah. Quiet, I'm not, normal day in Rome. And I opened the TV and I saw the video of the plane running into the tower. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? I went in the lobby of the building. I asked the concierge. I said, the lobby of the hotel. I said, is this correct? She said, yes. The people running around, they've closed all the airport in the US. All these people are canceling their reservation. This actually happened. I still didn't believe it. Denial. I still didn't believe it. Then I went back. I have a friend, American friend that lives in Florence. I called her. I said, is this true? She said, yes. And the footage you're watching is all footage. Both towers are already down. And then suddenly the dream came back. Now, here is the thing that's still bothering me today. Over 3,000 people lost their life. there's a part of me that feels guilty for not having shared that information with other people. And having somehow, because if God is giving me this vision, there is a reason for it. And I have to figure out a way to communicate it so that I can warn people ahead of time, so that they can act. And I have to say to you, over the years, the first time I published a channeling from the Galactic Region Council, let's say in 2014 or so, it took me over a week and a half after the channeling was done to publish it, because I was expecting the negative backlash and people calling me a fearmonger. Although if you watch the actual channeling, it's 2 to 3 paragraphs, the actual predictions. The rest of it is about the psychological and emotional state we need to transit into. They're trying to teach us to be prepared so that when these things happen, we can be prepared for them. This is their purpose. They're not telling us this to incite fear and have us run around, but they're trying to prepare us for the transit because it's bumpy. So there's a part of me, I'm burdened by the information, but there's a part of me also that feel when I publish it now that the burden is not with me anymore, because I've said it. What you do with it, it's up to you. If you don't believe it, that's fine. If you believe it and you're taking action, that's even better. But I am no longer responsible, because as somebody, as a conduit that received the information, my purpose is to transmit it. And if I have transmitted it, I'm done. I'm not responsible. I hope you're getting what I'm saying, because if you never had these kind of prophetic dreams or perception or vision, it might be hard to understand. But you feel guilty if you don't say anything or do anything. You feel like you should have done something with that information. Now I'm in a different place where I'm saying it and I'm sharing it, and it's up to the person to receive it or not receive it. Any questions, any comments?
Pierre, something that Janice said earlier, talking about surrender, and I think that as we are all reeling from the things that we're seeing, it's like when you see something on this scale, it's hard for you to take it in what your eyes are seeing. So when Janice says surrender, I thought about this for myself, as I'm asking for myself what I'm asking for everyone else, because in the greatest sense, we are our brother and sister's keeper, and what is happening to them is happening to you. Even when it's something that like a natural disaster like this, fire, jumping over a road, going into just devastating whole areas like this. Everybody's looking at everything in real time. It almost was like looking at the war when they started broadcasting Vietnam and all these things, and we're right in the middle of all of this carnage. And I said for myself, in this instance, when I wake up in the morning, I'm grateful for my life, my own spared life, and I'm asking that again, I re-surrender myself, because it's not enough to do it yesterday and then think that that's enough for today. I have to say this again to myself, surrender myself completely into, Source's care, and ask for courage for myself to face whatever this day is going to bring, and to remind myself that I have really nothing except my life. And I'm cognizant of, I could try to do everything I can to keep this life and my sanity. And I have to stay surrendered to Spirit, because in this sense, I by myself can do nothing. But I'm saying to myself, I and the Father are one, and this perfect will is being carried out no matter how it looks to me. The earth itself, with all the things that we know, it's it's hard to try to put them all together intellectually, because we know that the earth itself is a being, and these things that are happening to make a correction, and we know too that we are part of this, and we want to hold on, and we don't want to fall off, and we want to rise, we want the strength from day to day to go on to see the outcome of this. So I ask just for that, just for today, strength for today, and my greatest hope for tomorrow. And I keep it there. It's like that, keep it simple. That formula, keep it simple, stupid, or whatever you want to say. I'll just say, sweetie, keep it simple, sweetie. I'm not going to debase my intelligence, but just keep it simple. Courage, gratitude, strength, and the ability to keep that trust. It's like topping your gas tank off. You want to keep it completely full so that there's no room for anything but that certainty to remain in my tank. All I can say.
Thank you, Lydia. Thank you. Well said. And I want to remind all of you, you connected me to something else. Remind all of you this, that in order for you to help to intercede and bring someone else's burden into that blessed field, you have to first to bring your own burden and your own disempowerment into that blessed field. Your connection and your trust in your higher power must be reconnected on a daily basis. That's why for the prayer, the Gate, Gate, Paragate, and the torsion field, and all the prayers, and the intention. And the moment you feel connected and established with God, that's what I do first every morning, then I can do the prayers. Then I can intercede. Because the moment I have that connection, I simply ask something similar to what Celidia is doing for the people of California. God, help remove their burden. I offer you all of their suffering, all of their burden. Help them. And I take it into God. And I'm not holding on to anything. I'm simply be the conduit that pass it on. And I exhale deeply, I let go. And it's out of my head. It's not my responsibility anymore. It should be like blinking your eyelid. But the key to it is that the connection has to be established in me first. Otherwise, I'm going to take it in. I'm going to say the word. If I don't do this, I'm going to say the word, take their burden and blah, 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 but I'm going to hold it inside of me. And you will feel it energetically that it didn't dislodge. It should be easy, like an inhalation, and then you take the burden and then you release it as you exhale. It goes, it flows out. It's no longer yours. It's removed. And when you pray that way, and when you release it that way, they are the most effective prayers. It's like a snap. God hears you. And at the other hand, the person you're praying for feels an instant amelioration to quantum entanglement, because you were able to release it into infinity times infinity and the quantum field, and they can feel immediately a shift. Any questions, any comments?
Oh, yes, Pierre. In times past, we have, as a group, connected to storm systems like Superstorm Sandy and others to bring their attention, to bring the storms, whatever attention, to the human suffering that is in path of their projection. Can this be done with the fire?
I've never tried it. That's a good point. We should try it. I've never tried it. We've done it with storm, with tornadoes and all that, but I've never tried with the fire. I'm sure it can. I don't see any difference. It's just another element. There's a deva, there's a master deva. We have to connect to the master deva of the fire and actually connect and do it.
Mhm.
Never done it. We can try.
Hmm.
Never done it. But we have to be extremely neutral. I'll send an email out. I'll ask the group. I'll send a text out to everyone on WhatsApp and ask the group if they are willing to participate in this.
It's as though there's a consciousness in the storm, and the fire is
Similarly, it's an
similar.
elemental force.
Yes.
It's an elemental force. And I saw a short YouTube clip. I didn't see the clip. I just saw the stuff on YouTube saying that they are experiencing now fire tornadoes.
Mhm.
Same thing happened in Paradise when Paradise a year and a half, 2 years ago burned in California. Vertical column of fire that are fire tornadoes. They are rare occurrences, but when there's temperature differential in fire, this is what happened. I will send. It's a great idea, Janice. I will send a text to everyone when I'm done with class.
Thank you.
If we maybe sometime this week, I don't know when, maybe on Wednesday, we'll figure something out.
Mhm.
We'll
Good.
figure, around 7 o'clock for all of us to come online and do this.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes, it's a great idea. Any other questions or comments? All right, let's take a 5-minute break and then we'll do the closing meditation. 5 minutes.
Take a very deep and slow breath. And as you inhale and exhale deeply and slowly, allow the universal life force that permeates everything to enter into your lungs. Keep breathing deeply and slowly. And let your soul and your awareness drop in the middle of your chest. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Let your mind and your heart sync with each other. And notice what you notice. Keep breathing deeply and slowly. And let your awareness exist in your heart space. Listen, as if the more than 50 trillion cells in your body had ears. I release all attachments, fears, and control. And I surrender into the great emptiness and endless luminosity. I release all attachments, fears, and control. And I surrender into the great emptiness and endless luminosity. I release all attachments, fears, and control. And I surrender into the great emptiness and endless luminosity. in my mission of shepherding humanity, Lord, give me the clarity to separate my issues from that of my flock. The discernment to release their burden into you, the compassion to understand their pain and suffering. The intuition to know when to speak and when to be silent. The empathy to sense their distress and worries. The wisdom to allow you to speak through me. The detachment to let you heal them according to your plan. And most of all, the humility to understand that all healings happens through you. May I be a witness to your endless miracles, for you are the giver, benefactor, and repairer of all suffering. Gate, gate, paragate, parasamgate, bodhisoha. 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 Gate, gate, paragate, paragate, parasamgate, bodhisoha. Gate, gate, 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 parasamgate, bodhisoha. Gate, gate, paragate, 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 parasamgate, bodhisoha. Take a very deep and slow breath. And whenever you feel ready. You can open your eyes.
Thank you, Pierre. That was, I don't know, I, I, I went off and I mean, I did, but what I got was a like a golden, um, uh, um, not a, maybe a light or whatever it was, but it was coming down on my head.
Wow, beautiful. Wonderful, wonderful, beautiful, Bobby. Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
Anybody else, any comments before we close?
Thank you for that white space I was in. It was very peaceful.
Wonderful.
Mhm.
Blessings, blessings. I want to thank all of you for listening tonight and for your co-creation. I will, after the class is done, send a text out to everyone about maybe Wednesday or Thursday evening as potential dates for us to do this. We'll try it, and there's no harm in that. And maybe it's part of the expansion of the role we're supposed to play. So let's all grow organically with what's going on in the world. I want to thank you all so much. If you're listening to us on YouTube, like this video, subscribe to the channel. If you're on Patreon, thank you for the support. And I'll talk to you next week. Blessings, everyone. Good night. Thank you.
Good night, everyone. Love you all.
Everyone.